This Totem embroidered scarf jacket sells for close to $1,200 US. And in today's episode, we're going to be taking a closer look at the details of this jacket and then taking the inspiration and making my own. Welcome to Splurge versus Sew. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Christine, and today is the very first of a new series that I've been planning and thinking about and wanting to do for quite some time. So I came across this embroidered scarf jacket by the brand Toteme a couple of months ago, and I kind of filed it away because the style is very, very similar to a coat pattern that I launched last fall called the Crosby coat. And the Crosby coat has this built-in scarf that you kind of wrap, and it feels super cozy. And it has pockets in the front side seams. And I love, love, love the jacket. And one of the samples that I made when I launched the pattern is this gray kind of melange wool version. And this is in the version, the second version, that's just slightly longer. It's the hip length. So it comes in two lengths. One is at the hip, and then one is below the hip. And I love the little side pockets. But one of the things I always felt about this gray version of the Crosby coat was it was a little boring. There's something about the color, definitely an everyday good basic, but I had made a pink version and also a teal green version. And in comparison, the gray just kind of felt a little bit basic and flat. And if you know me, I usually like a little touch of color and a little touch of something special in the clothes that I make. So when I came across this Totem version, I was really inspired. I kind of planted the idea away, and now it's time to make it happen. So let's take a closer look at some of the details of this jacket. So straight off the bat, one of the things I love about this jacket is the overall style of it. The feature with the built-in scarf, that type of style was starting to have a moment last season or last winter, and it looks like it's carrying through to this year as well. So I love that effect. I love kind of the cozy up in a scarf feel. And then obviously the other details that I love about this jacket are the crochet detail and the fringe. I'm definitely going to incorporate the fringe into my version of the jacket. So one of the things I think we have to consider when it comes to splurge versus sew is our own skill level. And I have tried to crochet and I just cannot, it's something, I don't know why, I can't quite pick it up. So what I'm thinking is I can get a very similar look to this with a blanket stitch. And so that's probably the stitch that I'm going to be doing on my version of the jacket. And the other thing that I'm noticing is the stitching it's very luxe. So it's done on all the seams, so shoulder seams, sleeve seams, all of the hems, around the pockets. I even saw it here, that it's done on the side seams as well. And so I love the richness of that. It's like a little bit extravagant or luxurious, that the embroidered details are done on all of the seams. It's just something a little bit extra in a really beautiful way. So that's something that's very important to me that I'd like to create in my version of the jacket. So those are the most important details that I'd like to recreate. The other thing I just want to take a quick peek at are the different color combinations that this jacket is coming in. So we have the black with the cream, which is really striking. We have a cream on cream, which is really beautiful as well, a black on black. And then we have, this is definitely my all-time favorite, a really soft light gray melange with a kind of creamy white trim, completely sold out at $1,130, which shows the popularity of this style. Then we have kind of this chocolate brown with a creamy trim, and then finally a camel with a darker camel trim. So lots of different colorways. You know what though is really interesting about this jacket? So almost $1,200 depending on the color, and the fabric is actually, it's a blend. So even for this price, you're getting polyester, which I was really, really surprised at. Yes, 68% wool, 20% recycled wool, and 12% recycled polyester. So really interesting to note Whether it's good or bad, I don't know. As I am evolving in my fashion journey, I am really preferring natural fibers as much as possible. So that just kind of stood out to me, especially for the price point that you're paying. Getting a blend with polyester is very interesting to me. So those are the details of the coat I wanted to point out. And now let's take a look at the version that I'm going to be working on. So obviously I have my gray version of the Crosby coat that I'm going to be working on. So I have the attached scarf. So I'm going to plan to add some of the fringe along the bottom edge of the scarf. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do the blanket stitch along my seams like the totem coat had. So what I'm going to do as a plan is I'm going to first start by doing the outer edges of my jacket. So all along the scarf, all along the neck, all along the other side and down and around the bottom and along the hem of my sleeves. And I'm going to see how that goes and then see how the blanket stitch is coming along. To be honest, I have never sewn a blanket stitch before, but I think that it can't be that hard, right? And then I'm going to see how difficult it actually is and how the stitch comes together and see how and if I'm going to be able to do the stitch along the actual seams. So I took a visit to my local yarn shop and I found this 100% cotton, like nice kind of a fine weight of it's not quite a camel, it was more like a beige that I actually really like the combo. So we're going to be doing some beige stitching and fringe along the gray jacket. So I'm going to dig out my needle and try my hand at the blanket stitch, and I'll check in with you along the way. So I have made a little bit of progress with the blanket stitch. Luckily, it's pretty simple to pick up. So it's been pretty easy just to get started and get some progress with the blanket stitch. The most challenging part of this is definitely getting the stitches the same width apart and the same length. And if I'm honest, at this point, I don't know. This is the hem. Oops, I just dropped my yarn. This is the hem, and now I'm starting to go down one of the fronts. It's looking a little bit more crafty than artisanal, which is worrying me just a bit because I really love the artisanal look of the totem coat with the beautiful crochet trim. The blanket stitch is it's not quite landing the same for me, but I want to see it all done and then with the fringe as well. So I'm going to keep pushing through. I'm not giving up on this, even though it's a little tiny bit disappointing at this point. And maybe I just need to learn to crochet. I don't know. So I'm going to keep going and I'll keep you posted on the progress. So I spent all last night finishing the blanket stitch all along the front and the bottom and then all along the other front and all along the scarf. And then this morning I did the little fringe And I love the fringe. I think the fringe was the point where I said, okay, I think this is going to be okay. I also did both of the sleeves, but then sadly, I tried doing the blanket stitch on one of the side seams because I really feel like it's kind of missing that one detail that I loved about the totem coat with the stitching on all the seams, that luxe detail that I really, really wanted. I couldn't figure out how to translate it with the blanket stitch on my actual seams. That's the only thing I'm a little disappointed on because I really loved that detail and I think that it makes a huge, huge difference. But for now, I'm really happy with how it turned out. So on reflecting back on this project, I love, love, love the splurge versus sew concept because what it's done for me is kind of given me a structure for thinking outside of my normal day-to-day, what my own imagination can kind of think of. And through that process, actually through my subtle frustration, it wasn't a huge frustration, but I was definitely frustrated at the fact that the blanket stitch is not quite the look that I wanted. It is, I love the result and I'm not downplaying like my satisfaction for what came out of this project. But I do think that it highlighted my desire to improve my skills and to learn crochet at some point. So I'm definitely not giving up on the crochet. I have my crochet needle. I have more yarn somewhere in my stash. So I was reflecting as I was doing the blanket stitch that maybe I should go back to my yarn store. I know she does classes and things, and so maybe it's something I'm going to put on my fun list when I have a little bit of extra time to maybe try crochet again and maybe have someone help me. Maybe that's kind of the key to learning something in a really good way for me. So overall, this project was a super success. Not only did I kind of jazz up my own coat, but I did get to have a little bit more awareness about maybe a skill that I might like to learn in the future. So I'm going to cut to the final reveal of the coat and let me know what you think below. And if you have any ideas for a future splurge versus sew, drop that below as well. I'm all ears. I do have a couple ideas that are in the pipeline. I was thinking about maybe doing this once a month or so. And so, yeah, so here we go. Here's the final reveal.
Are you saying hi to everybody? Look at that little tail go. Look at that little tail. Owencito.